Hi everyone, and welcome to our panel session, which is dedicated to leading blockchain communities. And today we've got two special guests. Unfortunately, one of them couldn't join us today due to some health problems. And I'd like to invite Xenia and Dosymzhan. Hi guys, how are you?
Hello.
Hi everyone.
Yes, thank you for being with us today. And today we're going to discuss some of our experience of leading blockchain communities. And if you're new here, this event is brought to you by the blockchain professionals community. We are kind of a think space of blockchain engineers, of blockchain enthusiasts, of everyone who is interested in blockchain and its early adoption. And we also have many other interesting activities like hackathons, webinars, conferences, articles, podcasts, and so on. If you are interested in something like that, just visit our website and check out our social media pages. And without further ado, I would like to start with our today's agenda. And maybe, I will pass the mic to you guys to make a couple of intro words about yourself, about your background. Who is going to start?
Okay, I think ladies should be first, so
Yes.
let's start with me. Okay, so hello to everyone. Pleasure to see you again. If you already participate in June's session of Blockchain Community Day. So my name is Xenia.
I think we lost Xenia or Dosymzhan. Can you confirm if?
No, I think everything is pretty much clear, at least to me. So.
Oh my God! Yeah, sorry for that. I think I'm experiencing some problems. Just a second. Yeah, let me fix it. Yeah, Dosymzhan, please go ahead.
No, I think Xenia, maybe you would continue.
Yeah. Let me finish. Thank you, Alik. As usual, we have the same role as the previous time. So basically, I'm start working with blockchain and Web3 startups from 2019, before the COVID started. And I don't actually think that I'm like a huge pro in this sphere, because I actually believe that in Web3 or in blockchain, you can't be like a professional, because everything is changed in a second. And I really like this sphere because it gives you the opportunity to always be a student, to always be a person who learns something every day, every hour, every second. And I'm really excited to speak about communities about today, what's going on with Web3, and share my thoughts and maybe some tips and tricks, what's going on, how to do with that. So yeah, thanks.
Then I think I will take it from here. Thank you, Xenia. That's really great what you said about being a lifelong student. I think that really applies to blockchain, because you have to be such a flexible person to really hold your hand on pulse, monitoring what's happening out there. My name is Dosymzhan. As Alik already said before, I'm project manager in Blockchain Center, and I'm a product owner of the hackathon Decentrathon. I've been doing that since this year, since the beginning of the year, and it's pretty much interesting and gets interesting every time. And I think this is what also Xenia mentioned about blockchain communities. They are real special. They're different because it's not something that has its own institutionalized agenda or something like something like theories have been made throughout last couple of centuries. It's something that's built on our eyes and keep building today. So that's, I think, what's most beautiful about this. Thank you.
What nice words. Alik?
Alik, are you here with us?
We'll have two Alex. Can you hear us? Okay, then we can just stay in tune.
Yes. Hi guys. I hope you can hear me now. Please confirm if it's working now. I quickly switched to my iPad, and I hope everything will be okay with my connection today. Yeah, sorry about that connection issues. And yes, I know both of you guys in person before this panel session occurred, and Xenia was one of our speakers at our Blockchain Community Day conference, which has taken place in June. And a couple of months ago, Xenia has delivered a great talk about cracking the code and about communications in Web3. That was one of my favorite ones. And if you would like to find the recording, just check out our webpage. And with Dosymzhan, we have been conducting a hackathon called Centrathon. I've been voluntarily involved there and have been physically in that location. That's kind of very, very interesting after the COVID times to make such a huge gatherings of over 1,000 people at once in 9 cities and so on. And the promo campaign was also very good. And I think that was a very good use case, a very great use case to discuss during our today's panel session. And yes, before we dive into the use cases of your experience, let's try to give some understanding of the term what's community management. I mean, not to give kind of scientific description of that word, maybe just a definition from yourself.
Xenia, you want to start?
Okay. Well, actually, it's a really hard question, and it's not only about blockchain, because basically communication is literally everything. And when people, for example, come to me for advising for some projects, and they're like, so as we can see, communication and community management is like marketing. Alik, something with your sound, yeah. It's a bit of fun for me because, of course, communication is related to almost everything which can consider to the product or project. But at the same time, communication has a really strong track on which you need to understand what would you want to do with your product, with your community, with people who are just engaging or living in your community. And as for me, communication is like literally a family, and especially community in blockchain. I think it's like a family, because in our families we have a lot of different roles. For example, we have mother, we have father, we have like some close relatives, some non-close relatives. We have someone, for example, newbies who just raising and trying to understand what's going on and how not to lose your money, or at least try to do something in this community. We have some OGs like our grandmothers and granddads, which are literally know everything. They remember even crypto winter in 2017, and they were like, okay, so when I was in 2017 and the previous crypto winter was better or wasn't this one. So yeah, I think that in blockchain a lot of things are built in trust, and it is a really great point on one way. On another way, it's a bit strange to be trustful to everyone, especially for persons who you don't see in private, or for example, for some nicknames or avatars. And that basically is a lack of trust or lack of some serious issues if we're talking about law. But yeah, for me, community building is really like a built family, but you're building this family in metaverse, in Web3, you can call it what you want. But yeah, at least I want to believe, that people who are engaging into Web3, who are coming in some products, who are really attracted to this, to the idea, to the product, to the people who are building that, they're trying to become a family. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's really nice take on that. I think I do really agree with a lot of stuff that you said. Because but for me, it's a bit different. Because I, having experience working with primarily youth, I've been always drawn to how people tend to develop and unleash their potential when it comes to communities. Because when you're working with communities, you said the right thing that it's not always about the blockchain. Whenever you're working with community or managing community, it's about finding those potentials, finding those people who want to take the initiative and raising them up, giving them opportunities. And Well, if we're talking about the blockchain, I think there's a really special thing that unites them both, as in any community. What people in blockchain just simply believe in blockchain and in the future of blockchain. And since the Web3 and the blockchain is pretty much new thing, even though it's been already quite a lot of time, still do not along not a lot of people really know about this technology, and I'm really amazed by the way people in blockchain are inspired and ready to share that inspiration with others, to how they want to build the new world, the world of transparency, the world of security, the world where it can be really a better world, if it can be said so. So I think that's what I really love about this community, because you're talking to them and every one of them is ready to learn by themselves. Everyone is ready to build something new. So it's not that you're like programming on Python and the other person is building a new Python, and everyone is going crazy like that, because this is something new and you're really getting inspired. So yeah, communities are amazing when it comes to, I think, a blockchain especially.
Okay, yes, thank you guys for such an inspirational introduction about the terminology. And can you please say what kind of communities in blockchain have you been working with? Or maybe do you currently lead a community?
Well, I think that's. I remember a really great phrase that I heard from one of the projects with which I was advising this year. It was a really nice Ukrainian project in Web3, and the founder of this project, his name is Max. He told me that the greatest thing that he really adore in Web3 is that you can't be only worker in your projects. You also should be not only founder, not only worker, but also a part of this community. You can also be, a part of, for example, DAO, if it's, for example, such a product, and you're already your customer, because almost everyone who's building products, they are trying to make something in which they already need. So if person can't see the potential of the projects, it's really hard to implement it into Web3. So basically, I was working with different range of projects. For past 2 years, I prefer to work with some infrastructural ones, with some huge currency exchanges, with some security tools, with some protocols also. Previously, I was working with a couple NFT collections, and I don't want to say anything bad about that. But let's be honest, talking about NFT in 2023 sounds a bit outdated, I should say. But at the same time, it was a really great experience because it was like a really huge project. I don't want to mention it because I think that they are already closed. Yeah. But it was really a lot of fun of making some stuff and some games for sure, because almost everyone I think was working or interacting with some P2P or P2E games. Yeah, but actually I really prefer to make something more eternal. So infrastructural projects for me is like the base of blockchain. That's why I prefer to speak to them. So yeah.
I love how different perspectives we have here, because comparing to you, I had quite different experience, because I worked primarily with students, with the newbies, with the ones who just entered the blockchain, who just completed their first boot camps, who just went through their first hackathon. And we did a university roadshow. We went to one of the largest cities in Kazakhstan and visited students, did little workshops and talked to them. And most of them are really interested, and they're really bright minds with the really great majors, who want to be an artificial intelligence developers, or who want to be blockchain developers. And they're like 17 years old, they're like 18 years old, but they're really already building that. And I remember the first time we did the Centrathon, we got the special topic in Telegram. If you know, like you can create a special like mini subgroup, and people could find their teammates there. And in order to find one, you had to write a little info about yourself. And what people did there was like really amazing, because I saw some people, some girls of 15 years old who told that, well, I had nothing to do at pandemic, so I started learning programming. So I started developing and learning Python or C++. And this girl is like 15, 16 years old. And the other like little boys and girls who are really inspired. And that made my heart really break, because seeing those people being inspired and wanting to change the world like bit by bit, uh, really talked a lot about to me, like through my heart. So yeah, primarily working with youth.
When I heard such a stories, I always getting a bit jealous in a good way. Because, when I was 15, well, when I was 17, I firstly heard about Bitcoin. Because one of my friends, he was playing some game on the internet, and Bitcoin was like a eternal currency in this game. So he bought some Bitcoin, and it cost maybe, I don't know, less than $100 on that from that time. And he was trying to explain to me that there is a blockchain, there is a really nice currency, so maybe you should try or at least buy something. I was like, what the hell is going on? What are you talking about? And basically, when I understand how much does Bitcoin cost nowadays, I'm started to think that it's really nice when you have some, for example, teachers or community, because basically I don't have one when I was younger, who can provide to you some knowledges and can help you to understand, do you actually need that or not? Because basically I had an opportunity to have Bitcoins, in 2011, 12, but it is what it is. Yeah, but it's really nice to work with yours. I think that nowadays young generation are much more active than our, if I can say that, because
Yes.
they are too technological. They are too in something stuff, and that's really nice. But I think that if we are comparing, OGs and newbies, I think that there are a couple of problems with connecting them. If I speak about building community, especially from the OG sites. And I think that is not great, actually. But a lot of people who enter in blockchain before 2020, before this, NFT and crypto boom, when everyone were talking about Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and other stuff, and people who were in crypto and Web3 before, I don't know why, but they're thinking that it's like a really sophisticated and closed sphere which no one should enter except them. And
It's all up.
yeah, and sometimes there are huge troubles when you build on some community, because it starts to segregate. OGs are staying in their private groups with OGs, and newbies were like, okay, what's going on? Who's here? And that's really challenging nowadays. And unfortunately, because of crypto winter, this situation is getting worse, on my opinion. And what to do with that is really, one of the most painful tasks for each community manager nowadays, in my opinion. So
Yeah, yeah, I agree, because it's really, the groups are either you're really a pro who was like since the beginning of the times, or you're really like a newbie who doesn't know a thing. There's no middle ground. And I think that is like one of the biggest problems, because uh, there's no conversation between the two groups. And I don't think that they want to talk, but it's really important that they do, and they help each other out, because it's decentralized, it's anonymous, and it might seem that everyone cares only about like their personal profit, but in fact, in reality, we can see that it's really beneficial for everyone if more people would knew about that, if more people would engage with blockchain, with Web3, and incorporate in daily lives.
Yeah, I agree to you. But speaking of benefits, there are also some controversial themes for nowadays, because after 2020, I guess, when all this crypto hype were literally everywhere, and a lot of people, especially my friends, they decided they're now a crypto investors, and they were trying to invest some money. As usual, they were buying on a high, then everything started to fall down, and they were around, okay, so crypto is scam, NFT is scam, and everything here is scam, definitely. Yeah, and I can't say anything to them because they don't actually know about blockchain, nothing. So they just came, they just make a crypto wallet, they just went to some currency exchange, buy some, for example, Ethereum, or I don't know, other currency. And a lot of people are calling this type of persons who just entered to the blockchain crypto hamsters. And basically, I can understand why OGs don't want to speak to crypto hamsters, because it's really hard to explain to a person who just came to with $10 and want to make $10 million in 1 week, only in 1 week. It's too. He don't want to wait anything, because everything making money here like that, So it's obviously, and at the same time, because of all this hype, people who are really enthusiastic, who are really in deep, who wanted to be in deep in this sphere, they are lost inside these hamsters. So sometimes it's really hard to even to detect them into this field of hamsters, because everyone is trying to make an easy and really fast money. And unfortunately or fortunately, nowadays it's not how it works in blockchain. So yeah, but so basically it's really nice when people have real interest. But when someone started to talk to me, because a lot of people know that I consider to blockchain in a couple ways. And I think like 2 weeks ago, my aunt, she told me, have you heard about crypto Doge Mask something coin? Someone told me that it will be like a rocket, so I bought some. Yeah, and now I'm checking every day. Okay, nice. So I just asked her, wasn't the amount too high? So it was like fine, if she, or when she lost it, it won't be like a huge damage. But at the same time, I was like, oh my God, who can do that? And then I remember that people are giving money to some scammers and fraudsters even in real life. So it's normally that in Web3 there are a lot of scam that a lot of people trapped into this scam. But yeah, crypto hamsters is another question for communities, because they don't actually want to participate, but they make this, activity. For example, if you make some giveaways, if you make some airdrops, and we're like, okay, so nice, we just need to grab some money, some tokens, some NFTs, and then just living. So you're trying to make something, and then they're like, okay, thank you guys for your tokens, so I'm going next. And yeah, sorry, I'm making a bit more emotional, because it's a really thoughtful thing for me.
Yeah. Well, one thing for sure, that your aunt is really is either really really naive or really really smart person. So it's up to you to decide.
Yeah, so I like the way you complement each other. I mean, considering that Xenia has some background of crypto communities, and Dosymzhan has some experience of leading more of kind of engineering communities in blockchain. And we receive some comments and messages and questions in our live chat. And please, leave your questions in the live chat for those who are watching us live. And we will go through the questions at the end of our today's panel. And some of the comments will be brought right away, like this one. I mean, it's in the context of what you were saying right now. Somebody says that some grilled influencer shield NFTs, Dogecoin, and crypto. It got overhyped, influencers removed liquidity, and everyone got wrecked. Yeah. And
sounds like it's my theme, and question for me.
Yeah.
Let's start with well, there are a couple tracks on this theme which I want to cover. I will try to make it as fast as I can. Firstly, it's about media coverage in Web3 and blockchain, and secondly, in social networks. So basically, and unfortunately for now, media coverage in blockchain is like a huge business. So almost every crypto media, crypto website, they're working. You're just paying them. Or for example, they can be take you into their accelerator, or they can be your like an angel investors, and so on and so forth. And unfortunately, the numbers of shows of some articles, especially on some top platforms, they're hilarious. They're hilariously low. And I was working with I'm not sure that we should mention it, but Alik, did we mention some name or no?
I mean, yeah, if we mention some name, I mean, if you mention some names of your previous company you've been working with or your current position, it doesn't mean that, that's
company
the...
about crypto media. Okay, so let's don't mention some media, but I know almost every media in crypto, and I know their price, and I think that they are overhyped. Because basically you can pay like 2K for a press release, not even for article, and you will have like 100 views and nothing actually. Even on the hugest one, it's like a craziest part. And basically, if we're talking about some prestige in Web3 or blockchain, of course, there are websites in which you at least need to have an article to show everyone that you're not like too scammy to be scam. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. So basically, if you're, for example, if you like cars and you're looking for some car journals and magazines, and you see some articles or some advertising in such magazines, it's really huge percent that you can at least think about this product. In crypto, it doesn't work at all. It can only work if you're speaking about like personal branding, for example, for founders, for some interviews, and so on and so forth. The second is the most painful part of all this crypto influences and other stuff is Twitter, because basically Twitter is one of the most influential, or X, call it what you want. And I had a lot of experience with working with crypto influencers on Twitter, and it was disgusting, actually. Firstly, I definitely remember this huge scandal that was at the beginning of 2022, when someone leaked a huge database of the most influential crypto influencers in Twitter and all their price, and with the price for their integration. And let's be honest, it's normal that people who are influencers, they can make some money with advertising. It's fine. But the main and the worst part of all this stuff, that literally each project doesn't matter, is it a good one or a scam one, they can go just pay for them and then just make everything they want to do. Because these influencers had a real auditory and they don't really care about the quality of advertising. And sometimes I already see some, like middle crypto influencers, they got trapped in some project. They didn't check, they didn't do Dior before they grabbing someone for advertising. And after that, when project starts scamming and followers start to write to this influencer what's going on. So you were like, okay, that's nice guys, I know them, please follow them, buy their tokens, and it is what it is. But we are talking about the people with the real audience. But in Twitter, we have a lot of influencers with like hundreds of followers, and all these hundreds of followers are bots. And it's always like a Russian roulette. when you're starting to buy advertising in Twitter, especially if we're talking about crypto influencers, because I definitely remember a case from my work experience that we bought 3 advertising from 3 different influencers. They were like white influencers who checked everywhere, from each website, who just make track analytics, some followers activity, some other stuff. So we check everywhere. We paid maybe like 500 per each integration, and we got nothing. We got 6 likes on 3 posts in 3 accounts with 100 plus followers, K followers. And that was a really sad one, because it's crazy. And I know some crypto agencies who are offering the media and Twitter coverage for new products and new projects, and their prices are crazy actually. And they work with such a kind of influencers. So basically, you paid your money, you're just trying to make something, for example, and you just get nothing. And unfortunately, I think that because of that, scammers did so many damage for Web3 community, because scammers, they usually know for whom they're making it. So there are a lot of scam bloggers. They even have their YouTubes, Discords, and they trying to accumulate all this hamster delicious that people like, that you'll make like 100x. So you just need to try now or never, because in 1 hour everything will be closed and you need to run as fast as you can. And so basically, I don't actually believe in crypto influencers, unfortunately. I knew a couple of them, and mostly they all like a micro influencers, so they have like 10-15K of followers. I definitely understand that they are real, because I remember how they were growing. For example, with Officers Media, Officers Media is much more huger than micro influencer, but at the same time I know him in private, and he's a really great guy. And I know that he's like a trustable person. So basically, another question is where to find this trustable person when you are a newbie. So you just came into Twitter, you saw all this crazy stuff that's going on. Everyone is have an argument with each person, no matter about the thing. A lot of bots, a lot of scam, a lot of really strange type of how to spoil some people with the same projects. Of course, I think that there's also the reason why OGs are trying to sit in their own chats and not to communicate with us as part of crypto community, because when it all was just in beginning, so it was like a super comfy, super cozy environment, and everyone was super nice and super open to everyone. And it's normally then when the amounts of people, of users of the community is growing, so you have a lot of risks and you need to count on them. So so I definitely know the pain about working with such influencers, and unfortunately the only one thing is to reject them, to not to give them advertising. But I think that scammers will do that anytime.
Mm-hmm. I love what you said there. You previously mentioned the word "too scammy to be scammer." Like really good explanation of those kind of people. And I do agree with you, because and I think the roots of the problem lay in the fact, in this misconception of easy money. I think what everyone wants today, and the younger generation who are really who go into corporate, some of my acquaintances who are really not ready to just go from 9 to 5 every day doing the routine job. And they see, most of them heard from some of their acquaintances that it's an easy way to make money. And that's where you see, like, in the root, the motivation of people who entered the Web3 is practically, I wouldn't say it's incorrect, but it's not morally good, if we can say that, like easy money, because easy money never exists. It's like a total misconception, and people going there, people making easy money from lying to other people just to make more money, and everybody trying to once again make a benefits to themselves. A really sad picture what we have here. But what brings me a positive like tears, if we can say, is the people who are really passionate about the technology itself. I think who are really passionate about making an implementation of blockchain in everyday life. And I know some people, I know some influencers who really try not to be scammers, not to scam, and just sharing the knowledge without like predicting that this is like you have to buy this right now or never, and just telling that how to use the tools, how to learn, how to just enter the platform, what are the steps, how to grow in this new world. And there are lots of them, but even more there are scammers. And yes, this is a sad story that we have, and this is a really not such a good image on branding of the technology itself and most of the platforms. Because when you talk to someone who is not in blockchain and talk that you're on blockchain, probably first thing they say, well, isn't it a scam? And then you give a 30 minutes lecture and why technology is important and why it's the difference between NFT and the blockchain itself, and so on, so on. But yeah, do you and I had a question, like follow up to you. Do you believe that in the future, maybe like 5 years, we don't know what will happen, but 5 to 10 years, when we hope we will the blockchain technology will integrate into our lives to a new level, let's say, not everywhere, but such a bigger level than currently, will the amount of scammers decrease or increase, or it will stay the same and like grow? Like, what's your take on that?
That's a really great question, actually. Honestly, in my opinion, the amounts of scammers won't be less, because it's like normally. And it's not only about blockchain, it's also about our life. You know, all this bank scam and email scam, it's we have too many antiviruses, we have too many some applications to protect, but they still trying to make this because of the reason that scam is always trying to be in people. Scam is always existing in our community, in like a people community, because of this idea of easy money, basically. So it's all started with that. So some people don't want to work too; they wanted just to have some quick money and go somewhere. If we're talking about implementing blockchain, and I think that it will be really great if, for example, in 5 years, I can basically pay by my crypto wallet in each local shop and do some really nice stuff. And I know some projects that are still, they are nowadays like living in 2030 because they make really great things with blockchain, and I'm really excited about that. But at the same time, I think that decentralization that give us one of the most advantageable part of blockchain are also the key why we won't have an ability to fight scammers. Because if you want to stay anonymous, you can do that. So at the same time, the scammer can do the same. And here are 2 points: lack of trust and lack of legalization. So I'm not sure that every country will have like a common agreement how to defeat the scammers. And even if in real life, not in the metaverse, we have some cases. And for example, in couple countries, the person can be like a thief, and in couple countries, it's fine. So you just grab your money and then come somewhere. So yeah, but I think that people should firstly think about security. Firstly, about their own security. And a couple of last projects with whom I was working, they were basically about Web3 security. And I saw the numbers, how many people were scammed like every day. And the amounts were crazy. And even huge OGs and bloggers, they're usually scammed. So not only like NFT, so their wallets were stolen. They were trying to do something. They participate in some scam airdrops, and it's all about people's social engineering. And so I think unfortunately we can't do with that. Well, let me say like that: we can't do anything with scammers, but we can do with ourselves to stay more safe. And I think that's one of the most important points to share with your or with other community, that safety first, some advantages or revenue second. Because people are usually like, oh, nice, let's do that. And then they get all the money. It is how it works. It's like psychology. So we're like, blockchain is a really great technique, but we are like a really simple person. So our logic are working like for ages, for centuries, and every time there were some scammers who were trying to scam you. So yeah, it's like a fight 1-to-1. We see scammers. So, and it's up to you how it will finish.
Yeah. Probably the only optimal option is to get more knowledgeable, get protected, get to know the tools how to not be scammed,
Yeah.
and
Not to be lazy. Let's be honest. A lot of people are getting lazy. I'm also a bit lazy. I can. There's a secret, but I need to tell you that to be a proof that even people who are for a long time in blockchain, they're not like too serious about security. So I bought myself a ledger like in April, and I still didn't open it just because I don't have enough time. I was like, okay, so maybe next Sunday. I definitely do it next Sunday, and I have everything in my not on cold wallet, and I wanted to take everything on Ledger, and there's like so nowadays is August, so 5 months, and and I still don't have enough time to do that. And it's all about my security. I know that it's really a huge risk if you don't have like a cold storage, but as you can see, even people who work in this industry, sometimes a bit too naive or lazy to make some security stuff.
Yeah, I think that this will continue unless you like make a really really huge mistake. Everyone has to make a really like a huge mistake to realize that, well, okay, the security is important. It's not that safe.
Yeah, but actually, I'm not like this. I'm working with community. I'm a community manager. I really like to interact with people and to be this, bridge between the team and the community. Because I think the community manager, they always play it on two sides. Because you're also already a part of team, and you need to be inside the team to know everything, to see what's going on, what you need to share with the people who are entering your community. At the same time, you're like a spy inside this community because you're always speaking to them, you always communicate it. You can't make like a stop and they stop the text to you. No, it's not like how it works in community in Web3. Actually, that's basically the reason why a lot of community managers are trying to change the projects too fast, because they're like over melted sometimes. And and basically I'm really active, especially when I'm speaking to new persons. I'm trying to interact, to teach, to make some to give some information. but I'm not like a too active participator in communities in which I'm usually not like my work community, but just like a fun community in which I'm considering, because sometimes you're too lazy, sometimes you don't have enough time because you have too many, for example, work stuff, and and also as a normal person I have a lot of wallets, so I have like a Trust wallet, MetaMask, not only one MetaMask, and I definitely know it's even hard for me to remember where do I have this wallet sometimes. So for scam it will be even harder, to understand where is my wallet. So yeah, but basically having like for example, draft wallet for some airdrops is also the best option because you didn't check, you didn't connect it with your main wallets, and it's fine. Or at least I'm trying to think like that. Yeah. Actually, speaking of communities, I think it's a really nice thing to discuss about treatment, because community are always waiting from the product team or project team for some treatment. So maybe it will be some airdrop, some NFT, some gamification system, some, for example, like a trophy system. And I'm really interested to know what kind of treatment to their communities are planning, for example, even old newbies, because I know a lot of examples how communities were building just on treatment per people, and then trying to grab them and to make them stay as long as it could be. And there was the reason why communities are actually created. So yeah, I'm really interested about treatment, about some ways to say thank you to your community to become a part of the product.
So, referring to my experience, what we did in last hackathon, it was a really, I think we wanted to make a not just a hackathon, not just an IT event where people solve like some cases. And last time they did solve cases on BNB Greenfield, which is quite a complex technology and is really new. And what we wanted to not only give them, well, this is your tasks, this is your like table, well, solve it. You have 72 hours. No, we wanted to make their experience of every hour of those 72 hours during the hackathon. We wanted to make it fulfilled. We wanted to provide them with the engagement. We invited guests who spoke to them, who mentored them, who showed how to leverage their technologies to a new level, to their solutions. We also provided a really fine merge, and I think young people, especially driven by merge, especially when it's a really quality one. We did the full package with the um, we did sweatshirts, we did stickers, and we really did a good coffee breaks. We brought a lot of pizza for the event. And what's the most, I think, amazing thing is, well, you regularly see people eating pizza, but the special thing about ours was that since we did it in a multi-venue format, and we had simultaneously 12 locations throughout Kazakhstan. We had people sending the videos, sitting in our marriage in a single like marriage, eating the same pizza in all throughout the country, and seeing that every one of them experiences the same thing, being in their own city. And so and this idea of decentralization, so they're not in a single place, they're decentralized, like they're in different places basically. And seeing them having this experience fulfillingly, meeting new people, and sharing their ideas, exchanging their ideas, bringing in some solutions, getting to know. Some of them were just getting to know about the technology, some of them were already a pro developers, and seeing them connect, I think, well, the biggest treatment in our case was the experience they got and the memories they got afterwards. I really happy when I see it's already been what I think 4 months after the hackathon, and I still see people around the city and around in the buses or in malls wearing the our merch from the hackathon, and I'm really happy because um, I see that people they experienced that stuff, they kept it, and they wear it proudly, and that makes me smile. I think what in our cases applies to your question.
And how many people did you cover during the hackathon?
It was 1,500, I think, 1,500.
Throughout the whole country, right?
Yes, throughout the whole country. And we plan to do
And
another one actually in the fall. Well, in late November, we want to cover the Central Asian countries and cover also Turkey and Georgia. So it's about 7 countries: Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Turkey. And we want to do more than 30 locations this time, and I want to see how we can raise it to the next level, to see how not only within one country but within one region, the region of Central Eurasia, it can be
yeah,
people can live throughout the same experience.
sounds like amazing plan. And as far as I remember, you have something like ambassador program. Could you please tell me more about how did it work, and how did you work with ambassadors, and who do you name ambassadors, and this model?
Yeah, that's a really nice point when it comes to community management, because you have a small team and you have a lot of locations, twice or 3 times more than the amount of locations themselves. So you can't physically, like, even if you send one person to one location, you can't control everything. So what we came up with was the program of student ambassadors. Our main feature was the universities. The universities served as the venues for a hackathon. And what we did was finding the students who studied in those universities and enrolled them as our ambassadors, providing them with full knowledge, we did the full the additional exclusive merch, and we enrolled them in our program. And with their help, we basically could manage the agenda, the organizational stuff within the universities. And we will do the same, I believe, in the next time, because it's really hard to manage, 7 countries, right? And I know my country the best, I know my city the best, but I barely know something about the other city when what can be taught about the other country, right? So we reach out to people, and if there are listening here some people who study in universities, and it does not have to be university. Actually, you can be just enthusiast, and if you're one of those countries, really we'll be reaching out to you. Reach out to us. We will contact you, and if you want to really help create this decentralized event and be a part of history, then well, you're welcome.
Yeah, another quick question about the ambassador program. I don't get, how do you motivate people to organize certain things in a certain location? I mean, what was the motivation for those student ambassadors to work for you?
Well, I did a lot of experience, have a lot of experience in working with students, and uh, for most of them, since the city and our hackathon did not cover only the major cities. So in Kazakhstan, we have the Astana and Almaty, in Russia, we have the Moscow and St. Petersburg. But what we did was covering the small cities, and this was the largest IT event to cover in regional cities, in like cities with 300,000 people or less, or like slightly more. But the main idea is that they wanted to be part of something bigger, to wanted to organize. basically the idea and the enthusiasm comes from people, and what we provide is the opportunity to meet new people, to grow, to get a full package, right, of those features, right? But yeah, I believe that most of them are really enthusiastic about helping their own city, helping their own university to become a part of such a historic event.
Yeah, that sounds very inspiring, I would say, and yeah, I think that's the main, one of the most important things about community management. That it doesn't work like from up to down, but the initiatives comes from inside, and I'm very happy you could organize something like that. And I mentioned that we have been talking for 1 hour already, and I would suggest to go through the questions from the live chat. Yeah, and I see somebody says that pizza and merch, of course. Yeah, I think now, yeah, that was one of the other motivations for people organizing hackathons.
20-year-old students don't need.
And yeah, exactly. And let's go through the questions one by one. And Malay asks, what do you think about the future of Web 3.0? It seems falling off the peak since the end of 2022.
Well, I think it was not the end of 2022, but the beginning. I guess it was April, yeah, when UST crashed. Yeah, well, it was like the beginning of 2022. I think that everything will be fine with Web3. I'm not sure that everything will be fine with all this shit scam coins and NFTs. It was, making with a huge amount of that. So I'm not really sure that all of them will become really nice assets in the future. Mostly, I think a lot of them will lose their amount at all. I actually think that a really great, it's not like financial advice, it's just my honest opinion. I think that the really great and a huge potential we have is metaverse, but not like just gamification metaverse, more like, pretending like when huge brands are entering metaverse, making their shop there and give you the opportunity and some extra stuff or extra merch for participating in their activities. I think that nowadays, what I can see from my side, that in Web3 there are still a lot of different nice activities. For example, if we're talking about some tokenization of real estate, for now it's like a great and huge theme, and I'm a huge fan of such a idea that you, for example, can buy a token for maybe 50 or 100 USD, and you will become like an owner of a part of a flat somewhere, and this flat will be renting and give you some, ROI, and it's really great. It's better than investment in banking and so on and so forth. If you wanted to, I also almost sure that it wasn't the last time when the crypto market was falling down. Because basically, a lot of people think that crypto is like a scam pyramid. It's not true, basically. But crypto is a really like a twin of stock market. And a lot of people are forgetting the stock market are already quite often for past decades are falling down. So it's like an economic walk. So sometimes you're going up, sometimes you're going down. So you just need to take the risk if you want to invest in this sphere and understand that sometimes you can lose something, sometimes you're a winner, and it's normally to think how to where to stop and where, for example, you wanted to stop. So it will be fine. I'm actually sure that security, real estate tokenization, and real sector tokenization, stable coins like a normal one, for sure, will stay with us for a long time. And I think that, for example, all this stuff with Silicon Valley Bank is a really great example that really important infrastructural things are staying here. So even when everyone was starting to buy or sell and do something with this money, 2 days, they solve this problem in 2 days, so it's fine. So yeah, I think that everything will be fine. You just need to calm down and be a bit more strict about your opinion and about your views. Because basically, when you're starting to try everything, to do everything, you're just starting to lose in this. And on my opinion, of course, everyone is wanting the crypto market to go up. I'm already some crypto holder. I'm also a crypto holder, and I wanted my Ethereum and other stuff to go up. I was like, okay, guys, it's time. Basically, 2 years. It's 2 years. So yeah, but it's not the point. The point is that you need to understand that you need to have an asset that will be available. No one will tell you what will be available. It's also about trying, about researching white papers, communities, and not only. So yeah, it's my opinion. Guys, what are you thinking about Web3? Are we dying? Oh no.
I really gave a thought to your question, and I'm thinking that there was a time where we lived in Web 1. There was we're living in Web 2, basically, primarily, and I really believe that it's inevitable we will switch to Web 3 at some point, and it doesn't have to be a complete switch, and it can fall as you said, like economy. That's just a property of the economy. It can fall, it can go up, and that's a normal thing. But I do believe that Web3 will integrate in our lives more than it is now. um, Whatever we do, it's just inevitable. We can't escape decentralization. We can't escape security or transparency. Some sites may want that because it will hurt them, but I think that's what people are craving for nowadays. Like, people are tired of being too dependent, and now, since they want to be independent, now since they want to get what they really deserve, I think we will inevitably come at some point to a larger integration of Web3 in our lives. And it doesn't have to be like completely, that's only Web3, that was the period of Web2, we closed that door, or like 2025 Web2, 2026 Web3, for example. No, I think those will be emerging, those will be cooperating and living together, just more of Web3. I expect so.
Yes, guys, 100% agree with almost everything you say. And another thing I would like to mention about Web3 and its future is that Dosymzhan is right, that it's not going to be kind of strict transition. It will be kind of smooth transition. And nowadays we can say that we see Web3 somewhere on the horizon, but we are just coming closer and closer and closer. Step by step. And the great example is that Xenia talked about Ledger. I also have a Ledger, but I used it maybe 2 or 3 times throughout the last 5 years. So I got my first Ledger 5 years ago, and since then I only used it a couple of times. And that's kind of problem of UX, problem of UI, of good interfaces, of its implementation, of making it usable for people, of maybe to create a crypto wallet and such kind of things still need time guidelines. You cannot do it on your own just intuitively. And as soon as the interfaces and usability of all that tools and projects will be good and fine, usable for people, for the most people who will not even think what kind of tool they are using. I mean, when we use bank nowadays, we don't think it's a Web3, Web2, or Web1 tool. We just use it because it's usable. And the same will happen to Web3, I hope. And so we've got a bunch of other questions in the live chat. The next one comes from Alexander. Hello, thanks for the panel. Could you advise an educational short video explaining Web 3.0 or blockchain terms for kids? Yes, and I have answered in another comment, and I have attached a link to the video on our website, which was delivered by our blockchain lead at EPAM, Sasha Petkevich. She had some great material about explaining the crypto, the blockchain, the metaverse, NFTs, and all kind of that things for kids. And the recordings are available. Just have a look. I'm not sure that if that's short, but still, yeah, some great content. 2 episodes. And yeah, maybe you guys have some sources on this?
I'm sure that Sasha did a great job of
Yeah.
making a really great material. Basically, almost all of my non-adult friends who are already in blockchain, they were trying to search for some info into internet, and nowadays it's really hard. But I want to give a bit an inspiring maybe thought to Alexander. I have a couple of friends who are under 18, and they're participating in couple communities and even making their own money, especially if you're talking about community management. Because a lot of, if you're speaking about SIG region, people, especially founders, are not great in English. And sometimes part of community members are helping to make some AMA sessions. And I have a real example from my life. The youngest sister of my friend, he's already a blockchain developer. She started to earn her own money from the 7th or 8th form just to making a session for a crypto project. So basically, English is also a must in blockchain. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't think anything to add here.
Yes, and another question from Alexander: what values can bring blockchain communities to first newbies, second professionals, third company and organization?
I do believe that the values of security, first of all, that the when they if we can we want to explore the idea of decentralization, I think here, and the primary idea, I won't explain the decentralization, but I want to bring on that idea that everyone is deserving what they should deserve, and gaining what they should deserve, and not being scammed. And since everyone is tracking, like in the blockchain technology itself, what are you doing, and the idea of transparency, I think, is the more core one, even in the hierarchy in companies, for example. And I can relate to company and organizations, because the larger company is, the harder it's to keep transparency there, and the more transparent the company is, the easier it's to manage that, and the easier it to keep the employees motivated. The easier is to go in one direction, and making sure that everyone in the company is on the same page, and we really want to achieve that, and everybody is doing their own job to the greater goal, the common goal that everybody has in mind. And I think this idea of transparency is the one that I love and I believe in the most. What about you?
Well, I think that I will go straight to this point. So, on my opinion, for newbies, communities give a really friendly environment, and it's like a really easy way to come into blockchain. So each community has its own rules, and it's normally when you just type into some Discord chat or Telegram chat, and the first one, you need to look at these rules and accept it. And there are a lot of people who are really in deep into some stuff. They can give some advices. Of course, it's up to you to trust these advices, not to trust. But at the same time, newbies are not feeling alone, because there are too many information nowadays, and you can really get lost into it, and you even can't understand what's going on. So basically, I think that communities is really important for newbies. It's really important to find your own community, which consist to your goals, to your way of communication, to your, I know, some treasures inside of you. Speaking of professionals, I think that communities are also a really great option for them. Firstly, a lot of communities like to invite some professionals and people who are really inside the sphere to share some details, to educate their own community, and, for example, to make some checks. I know that a lot of advisors, for example, about marketing community, not only even if we're speaking about alpha and beta testing, they're always trying to grab some professionals who are doing that. It's also about security, it's also about trust, it's also about reputation. So professionals have a lot of opportunities with blockchain community to firstly make themselves more reliable, and secondly to teach someone and even take your own auditory if you're speaking about some influences. For company and organization, community is really important stuff to firstly know how to communicate with your customer, and secondly to get feedback as fast as you can, because community is already really almost everyone in community trying to make the product better. And also one of the most exciting things about community that people really care about your project, and they will be trustfully with you, and they will tell what's going on, is it fine or no, and it's really important to know how to work with that. And I know there are really nice examples when community helped projects with how to find their own line, because people are it. Of course, we all know, especially if we're talking about some product team, that we know everything better. It's fine. So we have an idea. We like a fuzz of this idea. So who should tell us something about what should we do with our project? But it doesn't work like that. If we are talking about projects that will be useful for everyone, you need to understand your customer, and your customer is your community. And so basically communities is everywhere, and not only in blockchain. But if you're speaking about blockchain, in my opinion, that's a major part in which blockchain community play a really huge role. Alik?
Yeah, thank you. I think I have nothing to add here, since you provided, both of you, such extended answers. And the next question, I think I will stop on it just quickly. Navid says, I learned basic solidity from crypto zombies and videos from Alchemy. I want to increase my hands-on experience so that I would be ready to work in a live project. Please help me with next steps. So yeah, Navid, I would suggest you to contact me. You can find my email address on the We Are community page of our blockchain professionals community. Just ping me via email or whatever messaging tool you will use, since everything is on our webpage, and I would be very happy to help you, since at EPAM we've got a pretty big blockchain practice, blockchain projects and positions. And yeah, let's get to know each other. I think we can be very useful for each other. And the next question, not a question, but a comment, 0G says, Bitcoin has a nice value storage potential. I'm not sure what you can do with other tokens and blockchains besides bringing investors' attention. And yeah, Xenia?
I'm with you about Bitcoin, and I disagree about other tokens. Firstly, it's really important that stable coins nowadays is a really great alternative for USD in real life. And as for me, I'm using stable coins quite often. And a really great potential in which I think blockchain is moving now is like alternative for banking, not like only banking if we're talking about some sending money from different location, but also speaking about staking. And if you will look at some staking options, for example, in stable coins, no, I'm not sure that any bank in the world will give you such a percentage. Of course, it's always a risk because it's a stable coin and everything can be. But I think the stable coins is definitely not overrated. They're really trendy and they will stay trendy. Speaking of Bitcoin, it's always a lot of arguments about Bitcoin. I think that in each crypto or blockchain event, everyone starts, especially on the after party, there are always a part when everyone's speaking about Bitcoin. It's normally, yeah, you know that too, yeah. So I think that Bitcoin has a huge influence on the blockchain and crypto industry, and Bitcoin will stay like a treasure, like a gold maybe, on my opinion. So it won't have a lot of value inside Bitcoin, but it will be a value as a moment, as a start of this technical progress, as an option to have it or to own it. If we're talking about other tokens, especially if we're talking about some protocol, I think that it's also really great, firstly, opportunity and a really great picture to see how many people are inside this protocol. Firstly, secondly, if we're talking about protocols that have their own infrastructure, it's really useful to have their own tokens. So you can look at each of one. For example, I remember about Cardano, Solana. Okay, Solana is like controversial one, but okay, Cardano is a really nice example. When everyone is trying to not to talk about Cardano, but a lot of people believe in this token, and not only Cardano. So there are a lot of examples actually, and of course, shit tokens will be shit tokens in each part of this market, in each year of this crypto winter or summer, doesn't matter. But I think that tokens have a huge potential actually, and tokens are not only currency. You should understand about that. So, and tokens are not only NFTs. If we're speaking about some tokens on blockchain, even your passport can be a token. So if you're speaking about the potential of tokenization, everything can be tokenized, and it depends on. I definitely agree with Alex in this question that the only one question: do you actually need it to be tokenized, and will you use it after it will be tokenized? So if you can do that, then it definitely will work. If you can't do that, so it's better not to waste time for now, at least. Why are you laughing?
Yeah, I agree on the last point as well, because the idea of tokenization is somehow encrypted in the ideas of people that it's only a currency, an exchange of money, but it has so much potential more than that. Yeah, that's my idea. Alik?
Okay, yeah, and Zero G has the next comment. He says, crime investigation in crypto is hard. And I would say here that we have some plans to invite somebody from this sphere who is kind of competent in investigation of crypto crimes. I know a couple of guys who are doing this in big exchanges already. But yeah, I think that kind of it's a very big topic for a separate event, I would say. Yeah. And yeah, quick comes the next comment. Zero G says people cannot trust the system if they can be easily scammed, and nobody would do anything. That's why most of the people needed to be led, and those would rather trust centralized systems. Do you have any thoughts on this?
I can't agree with you. Because of well, there are a lot of examples, especially from past year, especially for FTX, Terra Luna crash, when there were a huge influences and a lot of people, like millions of people, they trusted to them and they were sure that they know what they're doing. But it's always like people mistake. So you shouldn't trust nobody. You should trust only to you and to your security. Of course, if you have a community and people with like-minded thoughts and you can discuss something, but if we're talking about your assets, about your priority and your security, it's also about you. Of course, it's a really huge problem with lack of security in blockchain, and the problem that no one actually knows how to even go to the court if we're talking about some blockchain thieves and blockchain stuff. But I think that we just need some time, maybe 5-10 years to investigate this question, because I know that, for example, in Hong Kong, I guess, and in Singapore, they already have this practice to of course they have like cipher assets in which they give them legislation to make this in a law, for example. But unfortunately, we can't do that something with that now. And on my opinion, lack of security will stay a main pain point in blockchain for a long time. Because to stop the lack of security, we need to stop being decentralized or anonymous. And I'm sure that more than half people in blockchain don't want to do that for a couple of reasons. So yeah.
Yeah, what I also can add here is that what Alex said before, and I agree with that thing, is that we need more. We need to design those systems to be really user friendly, because a lot of currently systems in Web3 is complicated and for people who are really into this stuff, and it can get frustrating for a lot of reasons. But I do believe that if we can get the systems more user friendly, if we can attach more project designers, more UX designers, product managers into the world of Web3, I do believe that systems will be more open. They would be more easier to grab, to comprehend, and that would make because you said that most people need to be led, and that would rather centralized systems. I think the idea is that decentralized systems are hard, and like currently, and what we're aiming to do and would be really good to achieve is make them easier. Yes, that's my point.
I think that it's really important to mention that to have a security Web3, you need someone who will control security in Web3. And firstly, it's really hard if we're talking about decentralization. Secondly, who should it be? Government? That's a really controversial question.
Yes.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we can't solve it for now.
Yeah, and I think that's like the open question. We have to just see how that will go in the future, in the nearest future.
Yes, and I hope it will become obvious in the nearest future. And the next question from Alexander: what can be other motives to attract people to Web3 except easy money?
Well,
Money probably. Not easy money, not easy money.
yes, that's a wrong misconception.
We received that question when we were talking about scams, and that's why I think that's why this question has this accent of easy money.
I think, well, I can talk about my example. Firstly, I think that Web3 is a really great sphere for development, especially for people who are working in tech industry. Because basically, I can't remember when I see that numbers, but if we're talking about the salaries of developers in tech sphere and in Web3 industry, the salary in Web3 is much more higher. Actually, it's like normally to have like a huge salaries. So, for example, for people who are in tech industry and they wanted to go to another level for their income, for making and working with some really progressive technologies, Web3 is a really great opportunity. If we're speaking about some professional stuff. Secondly, Web3 give you opportunity to make your own projects with really small amounts of money, and even without money, if you're enough deep into the sphere to make it by your own. For me, I'm not a programmer, as you can mention, but for me, Web3 is a really great alternative for passive income for my future. And I definitely believe in Web3 in this case. I'm starting and trying to invest in my time and money to make it into income one day. Yeah, and I think that there are a lot of opportunities nowadays, because a lot of people are really afraid of, a lot of my friends, as an example, they're talking to me and they're like, well, I want to enter to Web3, but I think it's too late because there are too many people and so on and so forth. And that's, it's a bit childish in my opinion, because it's never too late. If you want to do something, you will do something. It's normally. And there are so many projects, so many products, so many protocols that are just starting into Web3, and you can make it happen too. Maybe they're waiting for you to finish something and do something. So yeah, there are a lot of potential in Web3. Of course, it's a bit messy nowadays, on my opinion, because even if you want to find a work in Web3, you need to go to some old aggregators, new aggregators, some platforms, referral stuff, and so on and so forth. But when we will clean everything, make it a bit more, like a normal way, so it will be more clear. But when we will make it more clear, a lot of people will come too. So it's better to come before, start to expand by your own. And when a huge wave of newbies and hamsters will come again, so you will be prepared and you will definitely understand in which products was your attention and which one not. So yeah, I was trying to be short, but
Yeah. Thank you for your responses in such a good details. And that was the first half of the questions we received from the live chat, and there are still 4 or 5 of them. And I would suggest to maybe go a little bit quicker, and so that we could have a chance to cover the rest of the questions. And I see a question from Mark. He says, can you tell more about the regulations towards cryptocurrencies, which countries in the EU and the US have already implemented, please? So yeah, I know that compliance and regulatory stuff is also a very big topic. I would suggest not to stop on this today, but yeah, we will organize another panel with people from legal and regulatory spheres and talk about the regulations and all that, MiCA, FATF, and that kind of stuff. Yeah, we know that topic is very interesting, and we receive lots of requests on this. And Zero G says there are a lot of crypto projects, 700 plus. What percentage of those projects cared about application security? 0.1. How many constructs contain vulnerabilities? 100%. Recent big one was Curve. Yeah, somebody of you in the context of this?
Well, I think that we are talking about cryptocurrencies.
Yes.
If we're talking about 700 plus. There is a really great website that calls Web3 is going great.io, I guess. So they are trying to cover all the vulnerabilities that go in Web3, and some cases about scam. So you can definitely check it. Speaking of security, unfortunately, a lot of projects were not thinking about that when they were starting. But if we're speaking about the technology of blockchain, it's quite secureable. But it depends on what's going on with the project after. So is it easy or secure to have crypto? Yeah. If we're speaking about some, exchanges, participate in some projects and products airdrops, you need to always to check and always count the risk, because you never know what's going on. We have a lot of cases when some huge projects were scammed by scammers, and from the official account there were some airdrops or special participations and people lost their assets. So do your own research and trust only yourself.
Yes, I do believe that there are lots of projects, and we're not we're they're aiming for security, and even though there are vulnerabilities, I think that's part of the journey. You can't like that's like in the saying, you can't build or Rome wasn't built in a day. So practically, I think that's what we are aiming for in the future.
Okay, yeah, I think I have lost my connection for 10 or 20 seconds and I have lost the flow of your responses, but I hope, yeah, everything is fine with the question. And the next one from Zero G, how can blockchain technology help people to socialize, for example, online games like VR chat?
Well, I do believe that. Well, that's a decentralized technology, right? And in decentralized world is a quite different world and differs from the regular one a lot. And I read a lot of papers that told the stories of people who found themselves more related to those communities because in a decentralized world everyone is equal, and a lot of labels that are put on you in a real world just do not apply to the decentralized one. So yes, in online games I think you can easier find friends. That's basically not only about the blockchain communities, but I think all online communities where you keep anonymity, but pretty much it removes all the labels and lets you be whoever you want to be. You can be a little girl in Pakistan, but you can fight and speak like a huge person, like from Japan, for example, uh, right? And you can be whoever you want to be, and I think that's the main idea of behind the socialization in blockchain.
I think that I definitely agree with you. I think that it's a great plus and an advantage of blockchain that we are all anonymous. If you don't want to stay like in real life. And actually, in blockchain Web3, nobody cares about your experience in real life, about your gender, about your country, about your language. Yeah,
Ethnicity.
yeah, so it's fine. So it's like a new group or new collective in which you enter. You like a clear white paper, and you can write anything you want to. So I think that blockchain really helps a lot of people who have some misunderstanding or miscommunication in real life to find people with the same thoughts. Because basically, it's the same like a social networks. It's the same social network. It's just contained with one idea of blockchain.
Okay, and the next question from Mark. Also, is there good implementations of blockchain on large-scale projects into any other sector apart from finance, crypto?
Uh, we did a boot camp, one of the boot camps with one of the major exchanges, and what I on the last day there was a demo day where people were pitching their final projects, what they came up with, and a lot of them were actually not from finance industry. They were related to logistics. They were related to health care. They were related to the I think one of them was entertainment industry. And because the technology is so applicable to the a lot of stuff. For example, the one of the projects was about connecting the so basically building a streaming service that connected the uh, the listeners and the artist directly without the third parties. And I think that's a great way to see a blockchain in use, and that's not like completely about finance. So I do believe there are a lot of potential in other spheres, but probably the primary one will stay in finance.
I think that there are a lot of examples of how government can use blockchain.
Yes.
I'm not sure, but I think that Ukrainian system, which calls DIA, is basically connected to blockchain for some reasons. I may be wrong, but you can check it. As I already mentioned, the real estate tokenization, not only real estate, is a really huge potential. So yeah, so there are actually a lot of options. Even in education, I know a lot of projects with their consist to education, which are basically on blockchain. So it's always about your imagination. So you can use blockchain everywhere.
Yes.
Okay, yes, and I would add that at blockchain professionals community at EPAM, we regularly host different webinars dedicated to different spheres of blockchain use cases in terms of engineering, in terms of supply chain, health technologies, governmental technologies, and so on. Please, go through the recordings of our previous webinars, and you will learn more about that. And almost the last question from Zero G. I see crypto more as an opportunity to avoid sanctions. Country level introduced restrictions, avoid complications, bank-to-bank asset transfers. So yeah, that happens a lot, especially in our region and in our neighborhoods. And maybe you guys, you have some thoughts on this?
No, I agree with you, but at the same time, I think that crypto is always really useful way to transfer your own assets, despite of the fact sanctions just because we have some restriction of having the physical assets. And unfortunately, banking system, and basically that's the reason why a lot of people are using crypto, because banking system has a huge percentage if you are working with huge amounts of money. So nowadays, crypto is just profitable for a couple of reasons. Of course, there are a question of legalization of some money if we're speaking about some converting abroad. But yeah, I think that basically crypto is always a huge opportunity to save your money. Because, for example, if bank will be robbed, they will give you only some special amounts, which is in your contract. In crypto, in crypto wallets, you can have almost all money of the world, and there will still be some place for some more, So yeah, but yeah, a lot of people are using crypto to avoid sanctions, to transfer money from some countries who are a bit aggressive, not only a bit. Yeah, but and basically the reason why a lot of people think that crypto is a scam or some like a gray area nowadays.
Okay, yeah, and I would say that maybe our next one of the next brown bag sessions, which will be dedicated to the compliance and regulatory things, will put all the dots over i's. And I think now will be the last comment for today from Zero G. Thank you for all your questions, not only to you, Zero G, but for everyone who have been answering the questions. Yeah, thank you. Zero G says thank you very much for your responses, nice discussion. That's how you drive this community further. Yeah, thank you, guys, both of you, for coming, for answering all that questions, for such a great discussions, and thank you for everyone who watched this in live and recording, who answered who asked the questions. And the time has flown very fast. I didn't mention how we exceeded all the timings. It was supposed to be a 1 hour event, but still, almost 1 hour and 40 minutes. Yeah, thank you once again for everything. I hope that was also productive and interesting for you, and hope to see you next time. If there will be lots of requests, I will invite you one more time.
Thank you.
Always
Thank you for having us.
you.
Yeah,
nice.
okay, then
Have a great evening, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
you too. That will conclude our today's webinar, and stay tuned. Bye-bye.